Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Mystery Sports Podcast. And today is the World Championships final, the PDC World Championship final. Luke Littler versus Jermaine van den Veen. You know, the two youth champions. It's going to be an enthralling match in terms of action from minute one, from the first leg all the way down to the last leg, and whoever wins it. If we just go off some of the stats that's happened throughout the entire tournament in terms of the two players, Littler and Van Veen. So Littler coming in, his record at the Ali Pali is phenomenal. 18 wins to 1 loss, which was obviously to Luke Humphries in his first ever World Championships. Can Littler go back to back? I think he will. I think Luke Littler will go back to back, and I am a Littler fan. I do think Littler will. I'm going to be slightly biased. I think Littler will win it, but not Dimitri, Van Veen will do a very, very good job in terms of trying to stop Littler from getting two championships on the bounce. But like I said, I do think Luke Littler will get the back-to-back, get the championship, and get that £1 million as everyone keeps talking about. Luke Littler is the world number one. All the pressure really is on him in terms of trying to get him the championship, and I think he's probably the favourite, being the world number one, obviously being the holder of it. And I do think Littler, in terms of his average and everything that has happened throughout the entire tournament, and how he's only ever dropped 3 sets, I think, or is it? Yeah, he's only ever dropped 3 sets in the entire tournament. That's phenomenal. Really, it's unheard of to drop. I think it was only in this quarterfinal where he dropped his first set, and that is just the quality that is Luke Littler. Just a couple of facts on Van Veen. So Van Veen is the the Dutch number one in the world, and I think with Van Veen coming into the tournament, he's 10th in the world, the second best Dutch player, obviously, with Michael van Gerwen being the number one, and then reaching the semi-final did mean that Van Veen was the Dutch number one. I keep saying world, the Dutch number one in terms of obviously the darts players in the Netherlands. And I thought that is quite phenomenal, really, for especially a Dutch player, because as he said in his interview after, I think it was the quarterfinal, when he got the number one spot in Netherlands, it's like everyone's just used to being Michael's the number one, and Michael van Gerwen always is the number one, really. But to be second was kind of an amazing achievement because you're the next best thing. But then to be world number one, not world number one, to be Dutch number one is fantastic to be there, and you just think that MVG is his time come, and he admires MVG, and I admire MVG because look how brilliant he was and things like that, and he's a phenomenal darts player. I think he's very well grounded. Obviously, he's only 21, so he's still quite young. Obviously, Littler being 18, you're the youngest one there. I think with Van Veen, it's just more of like he's a very humble guy, and I really like him as a player, and I want him to always do well. He is the World Youth Championship, so he did win that this year. Obviously, he did lose to Luke Littler when I think they've met previously, but the last kind of major major kind of event they played or match they played was in the Youth Championships in 2023, where Littler kind of announced his name in obviously the main champs and the youth champs, and obviously Littler winning that. There, he averaged 111 in that match. That's fantastic. To average 111 in anything is brilliant, and then obviously in a final is even better. And we know how good Luke Littler is, obviously, in terms of how he's world number one at this age of 18, the same age as me. And I'm like, how is he world number one darts player? And I'm just crazy, isn't it, really? And you see in all sports, football and things, where you see like 16-year-olds playing on there, making a name for themselves, which is fantastic. And then just a couple of stats on Luke Littler's tournament in the World Champs. Like I said, only dropped 3 sets in the entire thing, which, like I said, is phenomenal. To only drop 3 sets in the 6 matches you've played is fantastic. And there's been a lot of darts thrown. His kind of route to the final. So his first round was against Labanakis, was a 3-0 win. Second round was Davies, another 3-0 win. Both of them really easy. I think walked through him. He didn't really have to go out second gear. Literally just chucked his darts, and yeah, he was pretty much through. Third round against Sulovic, that was kind of, would Littler get sucked into the slow pace that Sulovic does, and his kind of mental kind of aspect of the whole take my time, annoy the frustration, and he won 4-0. Brilliant. And I think Luke Littler did really well not to kind of get involved in terms of how slow Sulovic was going and things like that. But I think that was brilliant. Then probably Littler's the toughest game he's had yet, and that was in the quarterfinals against Rob Cross, where he won 4-2. But and that's where he dropped his first two sets of the tournament, and you like. And Ross always gives him a good game. We know how good Rob Cross is. I think he's number 8 in the world, so he's doing obviously fantastic for him as always in the Premier League. And we know how good in terms of how like Rob Cross, Gary Anderson, and things like that are, and the quality that they possess. And then semi-final against Polish Ranaski, 5-0 win for Littler. Probably just a walk in the park there, isn't it? Really, when you're going into semi-final, winning 5-0, didn't really have a challenge there. And then into the semi-final against Ryan Seal, 6-1 win. Obviously, it was a good response from Littler because this is the first time that he's gone down a set and had to respond from going in a losing position. And obviously, he did that magnificently, winning the next 6 sets on the bounce. And I think Luke Littler, from the stats that we've and his route to the final, I think Luke Littler has to. He's probably the favourite, and I think he will probably win the champs again. Then for Van Veen's route to the final, obviously he's number 10 in the world, and he became the Dutch number 1. His route to the final was his first round was against Reyes, 3-1 win there. Sulmarata in the second round, 3-1 win. Very similar to Luke Littler, how he didn't really have to get into second gear and get out second gear, should I say, and go and punish the other players there and work hard. In his third round was against Ramos, was a 4-1 win, easy win there. Against fourth round against Manby was a 4-1 win there again. Then Humphreys in the quarterfinal, and he won 5-1. That was unreal to see. I'm not the biggest Humphreys fan, but to see Humphreys lose 5-1 and get comfortably beat, obviously the world number 2 Luke Humphreys, was quite surprising to see Humphreys get beat that easily. And I think it just shows that there are so many good players in the darts world at the moment. Like we see Justin Hood, a shout out to him. What a brilliant player he is. And then in the semi-final yesterday, in probably one of the Ali Pali classics, Anderson, he played and won 6-3. Anderson did very well, being 4-1 down to get it to 4-3. And then I think Van Veen just kind of went into another level and just was clinical with his finishing and his doubles finishing, really. And I think that was the key for Van Veen getting into the final. So then predictions for the final. I think Littler will win, as I said before. I think he definitely goes back to back. I just think Littler's got so much quality to him. I think scoreline probably 7-4 to Van Veen. I was going to go 7-3, but then when I've gone and looked at it, it's kind of like the previous matches between Littler and Van Veen, it's always being sort of a close game. So I'm going to go 7-3 there. So it's first to 7 sets. So it means a lot of darts will be played. So to win a set, you have to win 3 legs. And I think Littler will probably get to the 7 quicker than Van Veen will. So, I do think that it is all to play for, and Littler will probably win. But it is good, and I think the most kind of massive thing we can take out of that the new generation is kind of taking over in darts. And you look at like how Anderson was it probably the oldest guy in the semi-finals, and well, apart from Ryan Seal, who I think's 29, Littler and Van Veen, Littler's 18 and Van Veen's only 21. So it does show that there is a new kind of younger side of darts coming through, and I think we did see that throughout the entire World Championships when you've got obviously Littler, Van Veen. What's the guy's name? The Pikachu guy. Obviously, he's quite young. Then you've got a couple of new Dutch guys, a new German lad, that Cameron from, I think, England, and then the Irish dude as well. Can't remember the names off the top of my head, but it does just show that there's a kind of new gen coming into darts, and let's obviously hope that some of the old guys like the Van Gerwins, Humphreys, Anderson, Smith, and things like that can obviously keep going, keep fighting, and getting back into the finals and things like that, and winning the tournaments as well. Because that's one fear I do have, is that it could go boring if Littler keeps winning and stuff like that. But I do think though, darts is a phenomenal sport, and definitely tune in. I think that it's supposed to get around, the final starts about 8:15, I think, half 8ish. So yeah, definitely tune in if you're not got anything planned for tonight. But yeah, it should be a good one. So, like I said, I think Luke Littler will win. Van Veen will give it a good go. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Catch you all in a bit.